Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Digital Marketing for Law Firms, presented by Gina Rubel. My name is Stephanie Phelan. I'm a marketing manager at MyCase, and I'll be your host today. First, I'd like to give you a few tips about participating on GoToWebinar. The webinar control panel is on the right-hand side of your screen. This is where you can control audio, chat with me, and submit questions. Please use the questions pane to submit your questions at any time during the webinar. I'll be collecting those questions and saving them to ask Gina at the end of her presentation, but please don't wait until the very end to shoot those over to me. Also note that these slides and recording will be available by end of day tomorrow on the MyCase blog, and it will also be emailed to all registrants. When you close your webinar today, a very quick 6-question survey will pop up. All you have to do is answer those questions and you'll be entered to win a $100 Apple gift card. You do have a great chance of winning, so it's definitely worth it. And if you'd like to join the conversation on Twitter, the hashtag to use is #MarketingForLawyers. This webinar has been approved by the Wyoming State Bar and the Florida Bar for 1 hour of general CLE credit. If you are a Florida Bar member, note course number 2431R to self-report your CLE. I'll also send that information out in the GoToWebinar chat pane. Today's webinar is hosted by MyCase, so before we jump into things, I'd like to give you a quick overview. MyCase is a web-based law practice management software that takes care of your daily practice requirements for calendaring, contact management, document management and templates, time and billing, client communications, custom workflows, and more in one solution at an affordable price. MyCase is priced for solo and small firms at just $39 a month per attorney and $29 a month per paralegal or support staff. We also offer MyCase websites for our customers. The cost to set up and build your website is only $500, and then there's a $50 per month maintenance fee. If you've looked into building a custom website, you know that this is really a super deal. We use a modern professional design built for your firm. The websites contain social media and blog integration, and best of all, a client portal, which is completely integrated with your MyCase software. So now you and your customers can log into MyCase directly from your own website. Next up is payments. Are you accepting payments from clients online yet? You should be, and it's easier than ever. MyCase recently announced the addition of built-in credit card payments feature to our payment service. MyCase customers can now accept online payments from clients using both credit cards and checking accounts. This is also known as eCheck or ACH payments, seamlessly through their MyCase account with no third-party integration required. Last but not least, we enjoy hosting educational events for professionals in the legal industry, and that is why we are all here today. So let me tell you a little bit about our presenter. Gina Rubel is President and CEO of Furia Rubel Communications, one of the nation's leading legal marketing, public relations, and digital agencies. A legal marketing and practice management expert, social media enthusiast, attorney, and author, Gina teaches audiences nationwide how to implement ethical, integrated, and measurable communication strategies that help law firms and legal service providers retain existing clients and acquire new business. Her agency is ranked #1 by the Legal Intelligencer and among the top 3 nationwide by the National Law Journal. In addition, Gina has received numerous awards of distinction from various state, national, and local organizations. Now, if you are trying to imagine where Gina is today when she's talking with you, I'll tell you. Gina lives on a farm with kids, chickens, rabbits, and dogs. Her office is inside a renovated 2-story red barn in suburban Philadelphia, or Pennsylvania. She's just outside of Philadelphia. It sounds really beautiful. I would love to see her office. Gina, thank you for being with us today. I'm going to let you take it over from here.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webcast. I'm really excited to talk to you about digital marketing, also known as content marketing. And we're going to talk about a number of areas focusing predominantly on blogs, social media, and video. touching on the other topics that you see here: website, publications and syndicates, and thought leadership and public relations. We will try to integrate them all into the general conversation, but we're going to stay predominantly on blog, social media, and video. So what's really interesting is, according to an ABA legal technology report from 2014, lawyers are using digital marketing, but for the most part, there's really a lack of integration across the board. And as you can see by this image, law firms are certainly using websites, and I suspect this number has increased even more since the study was conducted in 2014. And LinkedIn, outbound email marketing, and electronic newsletters are also used the most. But what's interesting is when you look at the chart, they're not using them equally. And the reason is a lot of firms are not integrating their digital communications or digital marketing strategy. So there's a great opportunity, whether you're a solo firm or a small firm or mid-size, to integrate your communications for maximum effectiveness. So here are some of the trends in digital marketing from last year. Ask yourself, is your mobile or your website mobile responsive? So does it respond if somebody goes on their iPad, their iPhone, any other digital device to the size and format necessary for them to have the best viewing experience, the best information experience? Are you sharing content on social media platforms that are used by your target audience? So a lot of firms will say, oh, well, I'm on Twitter, and then I'll ask them, well, are your clients, prospects, and referral sources on Twitter? And they can't always answer that question. Mobile overtook desktop last year by 33%. Social distribution jumped by 21%. I'm sure that that number is increasing in a major way. 76% of adults looking to hire an attorney go online, and that is very much focused on consumers who still rely on friends and family for referrals, but they were more likely to conduct an internet search and to validate the referral. So I want to stress there consumers, because consumers do more searching for attorneys in consumer practice areas than, let's say, B2B. However, even folks in B2B, like in-house counsel, will go on your website to validate who you are and what they believe you do. Social media is the #1 driver of all website traffic. Lawyers are now spending 2.1 hours each week blogging. That's interesting. Ask yourself, am I blogging? And if I am, how much time am I actually spending? 39% of lawyers have obtained clients from blogs. That's a really important number, because oftentimes when a lawyer calls us and says they want marketing or public relations help, they usually follow that with, and all my business comes from referrals, and I'm never going to get anything from the internet. And that number right there tells you that, yes, there are ways to get direct business from the internet, and in those states where referral fees are considered ethical in certain types of cases, you can cut down your referral fees and increase your productivity and your profitability, frankly. And as you can see, internet advertising budgets are skyrocketing, and that's across the board in all industries, including legal. So what are lawyers and law firms doing? Well, 78% of lawyers maintain one or more social media for professional purposes, many of whom say, well, I have one for professional and one for personal. I don't really think you need to do that anymore. 62% of law firms maintain social networks. Lawyers spend 1.7 hours per week using social network sites for professional purposes, not just social, but professional. So as you'll see by the imagery going from LinkedIn to Twitter, you can see the numbers speak for themselves. 96% of lawyers and 90% of law firms maintain a LinkedIn profile. And I think the key there is maintain. You want to maintain all of your profiles and keep them up to date, not just post something with no photo and think somebody's going to find value in it. And we'll get more into finding value in these platforms. 33% of lawyers and 52% of law firms maintain a Facebook presence. I can tell you, and I will tell you, that Facebook is becoming a major contender in law firm new business acquisition, especially in the consumer arena. And 10% of lawyers and 19% of law firms maintain a Twitter presence. So we're going to go to our first poll so we can include you in our conversation. And the question is, how do you manage your social media profiles? The answers are, I manage them myself, someone other than me manages them for me, or I don't use social media.
Okay, great. And everyone looks to be answering the question now. If you can please go ahead and submit your response. I'll close the poll in just a second. All right, looks like majority voted. I'll go ahead and close. And results are in. Okay, so how do you manage your social media profiles? 75% said I manage them myself. So we're probably talking to a lot of solo and small firms here. 15% said someone other than me manages them for me, and 10% do not use social media. Is that a little higher than you thought for managing themselves, Gina?
No, actually it's not. And for those of you who said we manage them ourselves, to you, social media is just that, it's social. It's about creating and maintaining relationships. So I feel very strongly that for individual profiles, it is very important that the individuals manage them themselves. Now, you can work with social media consultants who can help you do that as well. And I've worked with social media consultants, and we manage social media for some of our clients for their law firms, but not necessarily the individual attorneys. And it's really important to understand the difference. So there is value in both. For those of you who don't use social media, I hope by the end of this program I have convinced you as to the value of digital marketing and how it all fits into the integrated marketing mix. So our next topic is social media. But I'm actually going to ask you another question because I want to see how we fare with some previous studies. If you use social media for your law practice, for what predominant purpose do you use it? So predominant purpose, career development and or networking, education and or awareness, client development, case investigation, or other. And if you don't use it, you don't have to answer the question.
Okay, great. And everyone is in there and the votes are coming in. Please go ahead and select your final answer and I will close the poll. And the results are in. Okay, if you use social media for your law practice, for what predominant purpose do you use it? 34% said career development and or networking. 21% said education or awareness. 36%, so that's slightly our majority, said client development. 5% case investigation, and 4% other.
Excellent. So I purposely put this slide up while you were sharing that data, the survey results, to look at how it compared to a previous survey by the ABA and MyCase. And interestingly enough, I'd say it's a little bit different. It's slightly different, especially on the education and current awareness piece, where our respondents said 21%. However, we are looking at a universe of only 100% where you can only answer one, where I think this survey you could answer more than one. So it's good to see how we stack up as an audience to the national average from when this study was done. So lawyers in litigation, commercial law, and employment and labor are personally maintaining social networks. They tend to be the practice areas that have the highest number of attorneys themselves engaging in social media. And your practice area and the audience you serve is important when considering where on social media you should actively engage, because as you'll see as we get further into the conversation, in some practice areas, while I would recommend you engage in social media. There are some where you may not want to put all your eggs in that basket. So in general, we have some social media rules of engagement, and then we're going to get into the individual practices. And this is a good time to make a note of what is your strategy? Asking yourself, is your audience on social media? What is relevant and timely? What content will people read and engage with? How can you get them to engage further? And it goes without saying that you need to be ethical and know your state's rules, and I say states in the plural if you have a multi-state practice of professional conduct. The rules of professional conduct, if you're in a state where they follow the model rules of professional conduct, you're going to be looking at the 7 series, so rules 7.1 through about 7.8. And then also ask yourself, what visuals can I use? And if you're answering those questions, then you're following these social media rules of engagement. So let's talk about Facebook. 72% of American adults who are online are using Facebook. And I can tell you I was not an early adopter, but I was an earlier adopter than most lawyers, which is interesting because in 2007, I fought with my staff who said I had to be on Facebook. And if any of you know me and are on Facebook and friends of mine, you know I'm quite active in that space, both professionally and personally, but personally in a limited way. 70% of those people on Facebook use it daily and 21% weekly. So people are really there and they're really engaging with those folks that they know, like, and trust. Facebook is mostly popular with adults age 18 to 29 and almost equally with those age 30 to 49. Millennials don't love Facebook yet. They, and I have a feeling many of them will come back to Facebook, but that's just my own opinion. I have no data to support that. Majority of Facebook women are users, and Facebook generates nearly 25% of website referral traffic from social media. Think about that, 25%. So if you're active, if your law firm is active and relevant and timely and engaging on Facebook with your relevant target audience, then they're more likely to go to your website. So that's something really important to think about as you work to grow your business. So with the Facebook rules of engagement in general, we talk about sharing things like photos and videos that will attract the attention and are relevant to your audience. You're going to hear me say time and time again today, relevant to your audience. They need to be of value. The legal services are a needs-based purchase. They're not a wants-based purchase. It's not someone going to the mall and picking out a pair of jeans or perhaps a pair of sneakers or a new sweater. Legal services are all about a need. So you not only have to be relevant and timely, but you need to be out there on a regular basis. When the need arises and someone is aware of your services, then more likely, and they trust you, they will reach out to you. Have conversations either via your individual profile or your firm's Facebook page. Many firms overlook the fact that when sharing content, they should also be promoting users to take action, ask for thoughts and feedback, and encourage ongoing discussion on a topic. Use a vanity URL, and what that means is in Facebook, you can create a URL specific to you or your law firm. It's a little bit harder to do if you have a more common name or other people have the same name, but you can usually come up with something that will work. Verify your page in the settings, which helps with SEO. Be transparent and authentic. I think a lot of people, a lot of lawyers tend to be very formal in Facebook, and people know that. Your audience will know if you are your authentic self. So I say be authentic. I also sometimes will say, depending on your areas of practice, there are certain topics to stay away from. We all know what they are. And monitor, communicate, and personally engage. So what I do is on all my social media profiles, I get alerts on my phone because I need to monitor them. I do allow for my friends to post on my Facebook timeline. That being said, when I go on vacation, for example, if I'm out of the country, I shut off the ability for others to be able to post on my timeline because I'm not likely monitoring it the same way, and nor do I want to because I'm on vacation. So it's something to think about how you can engage in Facebook, and knowing that your profile, people want to know who you are and that you are engaging in that space. So here's an example of a law firm that maintains a Facebook page, a Facebook presence. They're a labor and employment law firm in the Philadelphia market. And here's an example of where 6,636 people were reached. And this story about a unanimous Supreme Court decision was being shared. Now, this is going back a number of weeks. These numbers have gone up significantly since. But it's important to see that people are engaging. And interestingly enough, this is a client of ours. And the managing partner was very reluctant to go on Facebook. In this case, what we've done is we've created a social media committee. And so more of the millennial attorneys are the ones who are managing the Facebook presence, and it's been extremely successful. It's a great case study. So it's something to look at and see how you can utilize a professional corporate business Facebook page to generate awareness and grow your business. So now I'm going to talk a bit about Twitter. Only 21% of adults who are online are using Twitter, and you might be asking yourself, then why are we talking about Twitter? And we are going to talk a little bit about the benefits. It's most popular in urban areas. There are 150% more retweets, 89% more favorites, and 18% more clicks when we tweet and share with images. In other words, photos, videos. Ages 30 to 64 are the predominant users. I'm sorry, all other ages are the predominant users. 42% of users are between the age of 30 and 64. And it's a nearly equal split of men and women. But one of the things you should know about Twitter is that in 2013, an Adweek study showed that 59% of journalists worldwide were using Twitter. Now that's 2013. I can guarantee you that number has gone up. And according to Poynter, which is a global leader in journalism, in 2015, journalists were the largest, most active verified group on Twitter. In fact, last year, journalists made up nearly 25% of all verified accounts on Twitter, and I suspect that number of journalists on Twitter is going to continue to grow. Why is that important? Well, if you want to be someone who's quoted by the media in your practice area, because that adds to your awareness and it's a great tool for public relations, then engaging with those journalists on Twitter is a great way to be known. In fact, I can tell you, as one who does public relations and who speaks often with the media, I've had journalists contact me from Law 360, from National Law Journal, and from other regional, local publications because they have found me on Twitter. They were engaging with what I was talking about and thought I would be a good resource. So I share that because I have to tell you to practice what I preach, right? So that's the number one reason why being on Twitter. And then, of course, if you're on there, being relevant and following some of the rules of engagement, if not all of them. So you want to use a professional profile, so your cover photo, and there's two different images on Twitter, and I'll show you what they are in the next slide. You need to be concise. We've all heard about the 140 character rule. You want to be specific and relevant. You want to include contact information on your profile, and again, use a vanity URL, which I explained when I talked about Facebook. Include links to your website, and especially in your profile if you can, or if you have a Twitter profile for your company, have the name of the Twitter profile in your profile message about who you are. You want to use descriptive language. Research and add relevant search engine optimized keywords. So for example, if you are a criminal defense attorney in Florida, then make sure you use those words in your profile. You're likely not doing criminal defense for people in Oklahoma. So it's going to be helpful for people when they're searching for you, and it does add to your search engine value. And on Twitter, share articles, photos, videos, quotes, all with a link and attribution. So if these are articles that you've written or your blog, link back to the original source, which I hope would be your website. Share photos because people engage more readily when they see an image. Our attention span has gone from 7 seconds to 3, given all of the different ways people are engaging with us. So it's really important to give them visuals as much as possible. You need to monitor, share, retweet, like, and engage using keywords and hashtags. And I can't stress enough, if you are someone who considers him or herself an expert in a certain area, and I say the word expert carefully because we can't call ourselves experts ethically, but if you think you're an expert and you want to be speaking to the media, Twitter is a great tool for you to engage with and in. You know, pose questions to fellow members on Twitter, develop relationships with members of the media, and you can use productivity tools such as Hootsuite or CoSchedule to schedule a series of tweets about the content you're presenting. So for example, I didn't do a ton of pre-tweeting of the actual content for this program. However, we've been sharing out this program to generate interest on Twitter on a regular basis. So if you look on there and you look at our hashtag, you'll be able to see how we were working to bring people into this webinar. You want to share snippets of relevant information. And, you know, don't be afraid to engage in things other than your areas of practice. I've often developed new relationships because I love to travel. And sometimes I might say, for example, I'm traveling to Santa Barbara to give a CLE. Any lawyers out there who are interested, let me know, or any tips on restaurants I could go to. I did that for a Legal Marketing Association national conference when I was speaking in Denver and asked for restaurant recommendations, and actually ended up connecting with the Chamber of Commerce in Denver, who gave us a list of recommended restaurants and made for a very pleasant experience. So you don't have to limit it to your SEO keywords within your practice area to generate interest and develop relationships. So here's an example of a social media presence. Fox Rothschild is a large law firm. They're based out of Philadelphia. I do not do their marketing, so I'm going to give that disclaimer. I do, however, watch everything they do because they're brilliant marketers. And what you'll see here is, for example, the logo, the S in the right below where it says focus, forward focused. Then you see the forward focused at the top, the name of the firm. They use their firm imagery. And then if you look at the description of the firm, Fox Rothschild LLP is a full-service law firm with 750 lawyers in 22 offices coast to coast, built to serve business leaders. By doing that, they have been very specific with who they are and who they serve. So they've put that out there. And as you will see, if you look at some of the feed here, which was taken probably a week or two ago, they talk about HIPAA. pay or play. Judge Jones provides some new clarity just ahead of the New Jersey Emancipation Statute. Things that would be of interest to their audience. And so when you're sharing, you really want to make sure that the topics are relevant. And interestingly enough, I don't typically talk politics. And with the tenor of this year's election, I'm certainly not going to get into politics. But I will tell you how I used Twitter as a way to grow some relationships. During the second presidential debate, I watched the debate on Twitter and shared in the dialogue using the hashtag. And the things I talked about were things relevant to what my company does, like public relations, crisis communications, strategic positioning. And so while I didn't endorse either candidate, I did make sure that the relevancy that I could bring to the conversation was out there. So you don't have to limit it. You can be very creative in how you position what you do on Twitter as a way of engaging with new audiences. In fact, in that one night, my Twitter following grew by about 150 people, which in a night for a small business and a single person such as myself is quite a lot. So I share that as a way to think about how you can utilize these platforms to your advantage. Here also is an example, again, of and I stayed with Fox Rothschild to show the difference between the firm Twitter profile and an individual attorney's Twitter profile. And here, for example, Matthew Lee is a white-collar criminal defense tax controversy, and he explains everything he does here in his bio. I don't need to read it to you. But if you look at what he tweets about, I still can't get used to saying the word tweets, even though we've been saying it for many years. Sounds funny to me. He talks about white-collar group, the growth and expansion of his firm, federal inmate co-conspirator indicted for alleged tax fraud scheme. So things that are relevant to a white-collar criminal defense audience. So I think it's important to see the difference, and in this case, one is the law firm and one is the individual attorney. Also, I want to note that with these types of platforms, you also need to be aware of your firm's social media policies if there are any in place. So while I know the majority of the audience is so small and solo firms, if you are with a bigger firm, you do want to find out, can I have my own Twitter profile that refers to the law firm? So oftentimes there are social media policies in place and you need to be aware of them. So the next platform we're going to talk about is LinkedIn. So 25% of online adults use LinkedIn. Not just of online adults, but when it gets to business, people in business, that number jumps exponentially. Most frequent users are working age adults, college graduates, and those people with relatively high incomes. So let's say, for example, you are looking to engage with an audience, a high net worth audience, because you do family law, but you only represent high net worth families. Don't think LinkedIn isn't a good tool for you, because it is. LinkedIn is the only social media platform that is more popular with 30 to 49-year-olds than 18 to 29-year-olds. So we're speaking to a decision-making audience on LinkedIn, and we're engaging with a decision-making audience. And I can tell you once again, I have gotten direct business from LinkedIn. So it's about how you engage, how often you engage, how responsive you are, and whether or not you connect with people who you know, like, and trust, or want to know, like, and trust. So this Statista is an interesting website. It provides infographics based on surveys and studies, and I thought this one was very relevant to business versus business to consumer. So for any of the lawyers out there on this call who are engaging with a B2B audience, in other words, you're doing corporate law, tax work, corporate taxes, incorporations, things of that nature, look at the difference between the engagement on LinkedIn as the single most important platform for business versus other platforms, consumers. So, and then if you look at the next image, you see that the consumer audience skyrockets almost double over Twitter, or more than double over Twitter for Facebook. So it's important to see, and I will tell you, I cannot tell you how often I hear people say, oh, well, you need to be on Pinterest, you need to be on Instagram, you need to be on Snapchat. And while I think over time that may become true, I am not seeing an engagement there for lawyers or for people looking for legal services yet. And I can tell you, my company just completed this past Saturday a survey, and in the survey we asked a question about whether, what platforms people are using to find lawyers or to research their services. And we had 0 response for Pinterest, 0 response for Instagram, 0 response for Snapchat. So I want to let you know that, because I don't think you should be spending time or resources in that space just yet. All that said, even though Google Plus has a very low percentage here, I will tell you this. I maintain a Google Plus profile. I share out the same content that I'm sharing out everywhere else, and it comes up extremely high in search, and in fact higher than many of the other platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And you ask yourself why? Well, it's Google. And if you're searching on Google and Google owns the platform and you're adding content to Google, then obviously it increases your search engine optimization value. So while this statistic here is accurate, I think it does not share the value in just adding relevant content to Google+. If you have a Gmail account, by the way, you already have a Google Plus account, even if you've claimed the profile. So it's something you should be aware of. It's free real estate. Claim it. Add all your search engine optimization language. Let people know how you can serve them and use it to your advantage. So with LinkedIn, the rules of engagement, it's a professional platform. It's a resume on steroids, excuse the analogy. You want to have a professional profile. I do like to tell lawyers, for relevancy and awareness, use the same photo that you have on your website. Complete the full biography and use keywords. Make sure you optimize the first 200 words of the biography, because that's what's searched in the search engine. Use keywords in your title. So if you're an intellectual property law partner or an intellectual property lawyer, put that in there. Use location descriptions. So where intellectual property law, you're usually marketing to a much wider audience than a particular geographic region. If you do criminal law, family law, any of the consumer law, and you do it in a certain geographical area, use location descriptions like Philadelphia criminal lawyer or Philadelphia criminal defense lawyer. Connect with everyone that you know or want to know. Years past, people would ask me, well, what if I don't know the person? I tend to look at the profile and ask myself, what value can I bring to this relationship, or vice versa? So I can tell you I must get at least 2 to 5 people a week who are in some sales role on LinkedIn who want to connect with me. However, those sales roles, those people can be absolutely wonderful referral sources to my company if there's a proper synergy. So I don't discount it just because it's necessarily a salesperson. That person may be a great person for me to connect with. Same thing with financial service providers. I get a number of them. Well, guess what? They're big referral sources to lawyers, so it's something to think about. Share articles, again, and this is no different than the other social media platforms. Share articles, photos, videos, quotes, all with links and attributes. And again, monitor, share, like, and engage using keywords and hashtags. There's so many more rules of engagement. If you have a topic and you've joined groups, be sure to share that topic with the group. So for example, there's many groups for solo and small law firms. There's groups for criminal attorneys, family law attorneys, intellectual property law attorneys, legal marketers. So share the information that is relevant and make sure that it's of value to that audience. Again, be authentic, not sales-oriented. I find that when someone engages with me, even if they're trying to sell me something, and they're authentic, I'm more likely to connect with them and have a pleasant experience. Post your own content as publications on LinkedIn Pulse and share that with others. LinkedIn Pulse is a publishing platform on LinkedIn. So if you have your own blog, you can share it on LinkedIn as well. And I can tell you the engagement quadruples over if you just share a link to your own blog. It's amazing, and it's something that we've started doing more and more in my own company, and I've seen the engagement go up, the shares go up, so it's something to be very mindful of. So again, I stayed with the same firm so as not to skip around and to also show branding consistency. So here you'll see, again, Fox Rothschild, large law firm, and they have all of the same information. They talk about, in their recent updates, what's going on in the firm. So they're sharing their press releases right here. And here, Liz happens to be a friend of mine. She does a lot of franchise work. She's a corporate attorney. And I wanted to show you here how in her job description for this particular job, it says partner, chair emerging companies group, and franchise, licensing and distribution group. Why is that important? Because that's what she does. That helps this come up in search. You'll see keywords throughout her bio. I selected a certain portion of it: franchising, mergers and acquisitions, venture capital and angel financing, securities, private placement. So if someone is using LinkedIn as a database for search, because it is a mini search engine, then, and they're searching these terms, she's more likely to come up. Then, of course, if they're searching in the greater Philadelphia area or greater New York area, she's even more likely to come up. So something to think about. Make sure you have a complete profile. Add showcase pages to highlight specific practice areas. Use photographs and illustrations. And then make sure others know that you're there. Connect with all your employees. Connect with all of your referral sources. Post company updates. Link back to your website. There's so much you can do in LinkedIn. So just to recap the benefits of social media, and there are many. It's, I'm going to work from the bottom up: exposure, traffic, marketplace insights, loyalty, leads, SEO rankings, marketing profitability, improved sales. The list goes on. This I have from a source, but there's issues advocacy, there's internal communications, there's event sharing, discovery, crisis management, community relations, referral relations, of course, business development and branding. So many reasons why you should be using social media. So for that 10% of you who said you don't use social media, I hope this shares with you why you should. So the next topic is going to be blogs, and we're going to talk about not only blogs, but sharing them via social media. But first, I have a question for you. Do you or your law firm maintain a blog or multiple blogs? And the answers are yes or no.
Your last poll, everybody. So if you can please go ahead and select your response. And we'll go ahead and close the polls. Everyone's voted. Okay, so the results are in. Does your law firm maintain a blog or blogs? 43% said yes, and 57% said no. It's actually a lot higher than I suspected. Interesting.
It's higher, and it's a number that's continuing to jump. And if you could look at this data right here, you can see that, and since I understand that the majority of the folks on the call are solo and small firms, if you look at the data, it has definitely risen. This is a study from 2015 or 2014, excuse me. So I do think that, and these numbers do continue to change. And so you see that law firms are using blogs there. So let's talk about the benefits of blogs, especially for that 57% that doesn't blog. You know, with blogging, you have the benefits are increased exposure. And again, all of these are pretty much the same as the benefits of social media in general. Increased traffic to your blog and or website. It provides industry-focused insight. You can develop loyalty. It generates leads. It improves search engine rankings for your business. And in some cases, it can even reduce marketing expenses. And this is based, again, on that same American Bar Association survey of the benefits of blogs. It also creates thought leadership. It allows your audience to know that you can solve their problems. People often say, well, what can you do for me? Or they search based on a problem or an issue. And if they find a blog that answers that problem or issue, they're more likely to engage with you. Lawyers in litigation, family law, commercial law, and employment and labor are the most likely to be blogging, which means one of two things. If you're in those areas, you're missing out. And if you're not in those areas, there's lots of opportunity. So I think it's important to think about that. And your long-term business goals should be considered when deciding if you should blog. For instance, if you handle government and municipal work and yet you know that all your business comes strictly in through relationships, politics, and referrals because you're a government and municipal lawyer, then spending a lot of time in blogging may not be in your best interest. However, that may be where spending a little bit more time on Twitter to develop relationships with the media is in your interest. So if you tend to be your township solicitor, you know that comes in strictly through relationships and politics. That's not because somebody found you on a blog. So make sure that you understand where and when you should be on these platforms. And some blogging best practices. Write and share evergreen and timely single topics. An evergreen topic is, for example, in family law would be, do I need a lawyer if I'm getting divorced? Or how do courts determine who gets custody of children in a divorce? A timely family law topic would be, for example, one that is responsive to a Supreme Court ruling, such as the rights for LGBT couples to marry or issues in a celebrity divorce case. So, for example, Angelina and Jolie and Brad Pitt's divorce will spark all sorts of family law blogs now and in the near future. Answer frequently asked questions. Quote other people. It doesn't have to be only about you and your knowledge. Quote someone else in your firm. Quote an article in a newspaper. There's tons of things you can blog about. Use keywords. Repurpose content. So if you're giving a CLE, write a blog about it. One of the things I tell people is to use a digital recorder and then use that to transcribe and write a couple of blogs. Use briefs or memos of law that are in cases where you're not currently trying the matter, and find little generic tidbits that can be shared that are not specific to the client. Don't give legal advice. Use generic language and don't use legalese. Use subheadings with keywords. Now, this H1 and H2 tags is very technical. I share that because you do want to use them. If you have a WordPress blog, it allows you to use them automatically. You just click on a particular link. And share and share and share those blogs again, and tag the quoted people in your blogs when you are sharing them. So the last main topic that we're going to talk about are videos, and we're down to 10 minutes, so we're going to cover this rather quickly. Oh, sorry, I went the wrong direction there. So the average internet user spends 88% more time on a website with video than without. If your website doesn't have videos, what does that tell you? Nearly 75% of all internet traffic in 2017 will be video. Video content can increase the chances of front-page Google rankings by 53 times. And 65% of people visit a website after viewing a video. So if you think videos are not relevant or you don't need to do them, think again. They're growing in popularity, they provide more sociability, they provide more discoverability, and more accessibility to you, the attorney. So keep them short. Use professional videographer when you can, a stylist. Make sure you're not shiny. Create evergreen content. We talked about what that is. Add a welcome video to your website and bio pages. Keep them under 2 minutes. More people engage with short videos than with long videos. Create a topical video library for SEO and engagement. Keep videos on YouTube or Vimeo, then embed them on your website. Helps greatly with SEO. And share videos on social media for all the reasons that I've said earlier. So with all of that, I'm just going to bring it back to there are other forms of content marketing, of digital marketing that you can be doing, like press releases, sharing them online, thought leadership, sharing articles on publications and syndicates like JD Supra and Lexology and the National Law Journal, the National Law Review, and of course, adding content regularly to your website. So think about your website, and one of the things that MyCase does is they do develop websites, and as you can see, the top information that's found is attorney profiles and articles and presentations. And while I can personally corroborate these statistics based on analytical data that we've looked at for the clients, for Fury Rubles clients, I do want to add that blogs have been coming up second to attorney profiles for websites that incorporate blogs in their content. So it's important to know that people do want to read that thought leadership and that it is a direct entry into your website. And so finally, I'm going to end and then we're going to ask questions on common digital marketing mistakes. Not taking it seriously, forgetting that content marketing and social media is subject to conduct rules, believing that anything posted on social media is private. I'm sure you know that. Misusing social media as a discovery and investigation tool, and when I say misusing, there are many rules and cases about how it can be misused, and failing to counsel clients about their use of social media. So these are the common mistakes for lawyers, and now with just a few moments left, we're going to turn it over to questions.
Thank you, Gina. Those were some awesome tips. For those of you who have to leave us now, please take note of a few things. There is a handout there. It's a PDF, and you can download that from your GoToWebinar control panel. Also, when you close your webinar, a quick 6-question survey will pop up. All it takes is answering those questions. It'll take you less than a minute, and you'll be entered to win the $100 Apple gift card that we give away for every webinar every month. So go get that new iPhone. If you are a Florida Bar member, note CLE course 2431R to self-report your CLE. And you will receive an email tomorrow with a link to the blog where you will find these slides, the webinar recording, and the gift card winner, and some questions. So we have a lot of questions. We won't be able to get to them all today. So we'll also include some more of these questions answered on the blog post and on Gina's blog tomorrow. Or in the next few days. So as far as the first few questions, the first one that came in was, what is the ABA's position on using Facebook for law firms if they have one?
So the American Bar Association has the model rules of professional conduct, and the model rules apply to all forms of communication, and Facebook is just another form of communication. So they don't call out any particular form of communication like Facebook. It's just that you have to follow the same rules. So whether or not you're advertising on a billboard or on television, or sending a direct mail piece to someone who's been injured in an accident, let's say, the same rules apply. So they don't call out Facebook in particular.
Okay, got it. Okay, and on the Facebook topic also, someone said that they attend a lot of seminars on this topic and the importance of Facebook is always pounded into them, but no one really talks about the kinds of clients that are likely to be on Facebook. So her firm targets business. She's business-to-business marketing. So how relevant is Facebook in that sense, in that business-to-business market?
So I think it really depends on the size of the business and the type of business and the industries within which you're targeting. So for business lawyers, you need to understand that small businesses and family-owned businesses make up the majority of the businesses in the United States. And just like I'm a small business owner and many lawyers are small business owners, so too are many of the people who you know, like, and trust. So while you may not be marketing necessarily to decision makers at the Fortune 500 companies, I will tell you that small businesses are on Facebook, especially the owners, and they're engaging there. So I would not discount it.
Right, exactly, because businesses are run by people, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, next question. How does one expand contacts on Facebook? How do you get more followers?
Okay, so there's a lot of ways to get more followers on Facebook. One of them is to connect Facebook, if you're on Outlook, to your Outlook contacts and allow it to connect with all of your contacts. I'm very, very picky with who I connect with on Facebook because I do share information about who I am as an everyday person, my family and things. So I limit my Facebook use that way. With your business page, there are many ways to increase followers, and one is to share relevant topics, information, thought leadership with a public audience. So the more information that you have out there, the more that it's relevant, the more that it's interesting to someone, the more likely they're going to follow your business page versus your personal page.
Okay, great. And we have a few questions on this topic asked in different ways. Someone asked, I love to post a photo or comment about the places I've visited, but I've been told not to mix personal social life with professional life. You shouldn't show clients the funny expressions, the funny photos and whatnot. Another person was saying, should you ever share this personal information in social media? For example, going on vacation, personal thoughts that aren't necessarily legal related, like go Broncos, kind of sports or politics, anything, like what's the limit on the personal outreach with social media?
So I like to say I practice what I preach. So if you go on my Twitter profile, for example, you'll see that I post all of the above. I don't tend to post on Twitter while I'm on vacation, and I don't let people know that I am leaving for vacation. Nobody's business but my own. But for example, on Facebook, I'm going to share the results of my son's football game on Saturday or my daughter's volleyball playoff game tonight. People engage with real people, and lawyers are people. It's service and it's relationship. So talking about your alumni team, if you are a fan of Oklahoma State or whatever your college team is, then talk about it. There's nothing wrong with that. The things I tend to personally stay away from, and this is just personal preference, I don't talk politics and I don't talk religion. They're my choices. I do tend to think those are two of those things that I like to keep out of social media and out of public conversation. But why not show people places you've traveled? What's wrong with that? I just shared on Twitter this week 2 different community places in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, because it's a very historic area, and we have some amazing national monuments, shrines, and museums. And I love sharing that stuff, and I hashtag it with Bucks County. I end up connecting with other people in Bucks County, many who are business owners, and because my company doesn't only work with law firms, we represent other businesses, it's been a great way for us to develop business and relationships. So I think we need to move away from this fear-based marketing to a more natural, authentic way of presenting ourselves, because every one of us does something special in the community or has great things that happen in life that are worth sharing.
Excellent. Very good response. I like that answer, Gina. Unfortunately, we are out of time. We do have a lot of great questions coming in still. I'm sorry for those whose questions were not answered, but we'll get to those and answer those on our blog. And Gina, thank you so much. You're a wonderful presenter. We're so lucky and happy to have you with us today. And thanks to all of you who joined us.
Thank you for hosting me.